And this is how they're going to get people, because everybody's going to go, well, I can't afford to lose my income, or I can't afford to lose my job, or I can't afford to lose my home or my company or whatever. And I'm just going to be really honest with people. If you sign up to this, you are going to lose everything. You are going to lose everything because you've signed up to it. So if you think you're going to lose everything if you don't sign up to it, you might as well just go down the tack of not signing up to it, because you're going to lose everything anyway. Might not be tomorrow, but you will, because the point is to get you into the cage and then lock it at will. And I'm sorry, do you want to be in the position that you're told that if you don't have their next poison medication, that you can't get into your bank, or you can't get into you can't go to you can't get a job, you can't get a home to rent, you can't get a whatever. They cut off everything, right? Because that's what they'll do eventually when they decide that they want to roll out the next whatever. And that's the truth of it. You need to get into the mindset that if we do it, we're going to lose it. If we don't do it, so we're going to lose it. So, but what side are you going to be on? Are you going to be on the side that says, well, I might get another year out of this, or I might get another 2 years out of this, or I might even get the rest of my life out of this, but my children won't, my children's children won't. And like I said, when your tyranny's got this far, freedom can only be regained through some form of sacrifice. Unfortunately, you've got to give up something when you get to this stage. You're not going to win it by whinging on social media, and your direct actions in the world then don't match up to what you're saying on social media. If you're feeling it's wrong, and if you're saying it's wrong and you're going to stand against it, unfortunately, folks, in the real world, your direct action has got to match with that.
You are listening to the Doc Malik podcast. This show is 100% independent and fully funded by listeners like yourself. So, if you wish to support Ahmed in all that he is doing, then please subscribe to his channel on Spotify or his Substack. Or simply buy him a coffee with a one-off donation, links to which can be found at docmalik.com. Now, let's get on with the show.
You know, it's a battle, right? Honestly, Claire, it's been a battle. And like, I know other people like who've been at this from 2020, if not earlier, and they're just exhausted and they just need time out to recharge. And I feel like maybe it's a good thing that I came onto the scene a few years later, because I'm still quite energetic. I'm like, let me add that. But maybe in a few years' time, I'll want to pass on the baton to someone else and go,
oh,
man.
I mean, it's exhausting. The whole thing's exhausting.
It is. And it's also, I think some of the exhaustion also comes from just repeating yourself again and again and feeling like it's just not getting through. And
yeah. It's very difficult. I can completely understand why it's so hard for everyone actually to understand, you know, what's happening, especially with regards to digital ID, because people are thinking it's something that's coming and it's one thing like a card or something on your phone, and that's not true. It's not true. It's here. We already all are in the system. We have a digital ID, okay, already. What do I mean by that? I mean, how long have people been authenticating themselves with fingerprints to get into things, biometrics, face scans, showing their passports, or for instance, if you, for a long time in legal services, as you probably will know, or many people will know, you've had to do this anti-money laundering stuff, like know your client. You can't access a service without going through that. This is all part of it. People have been desensitized to, you need to authenticate yourself to get access to a service. And it used to be paper that you could do it by. And then, of course, convenience. Oh, we don't need you to do it by paper now. You can have this app, face scan yourself, and it's all done actually through, a lot of it's done through Experian. Then they do like a credit check on everything. That's another thing that's digital ID, credit scores. If you've got a shit credit score, you can't rent somewhere, you can't do whatever. So it all went onto this kind of like face scanning stuff. When I was still in practice, I was like, absolutely not. I was one of the only solicitors that would say, no, you can come in and give me your paper ID. You can. I still object to that, because it's part of it all. But I am not going to send you something to scan your face or your eyeballs or your whatever. And the problem that we've got is that, of course, there are so many businesses, solicitors, estate agents, the whole gamut that haven't got the time to do this. They haven't got the time to get in people and do paper ID, so they opt for these online corporate partner verification services that collect all your data and have built the architecture over the years. And listen, I went back 100 years yesterday and I looked at the whole lot, and it's probably longer than that. I thought, I'm just going to go back 100 years. I haven't got it in me to go back beyond 100 years. And I literally mapped it all out, all the acts, all the changes, national insurance numbers, all part of it, because it ties you to your ability to work and your ability to receive state benefits in the form of a state pension, which is a state benefit. I know we don't think of it like that, but it actually is classed in law as a benefit. NHS numbers, tying your records to you and then sharing that everywhere. It's all part of it, okay? And this really took off.
Can I just pause for a second? But isn't it a good thing to like verify who you are? We hear people being defrauded all the time, and people credit card fraud or hacking into your bank accounts. I mean, it's not a bad idea to say, yeah, this is me. I am me. I want my money, and I don't want anyone else to get it. And two, things like NHS number, like, isn't that a good way to identify who you are? Like, if you go into one hospital to another hospital, like, you can track your records. I'm being a devil's advocate.
Listen,
I'm just being a devil's advocate.
How effective has it been at stopping fraud? It hasn't. It's actually allowed it to proliferate, because data can be hacked and things like that. Has it worked? Everything like this is always sold for your safety and convenience. And I get, the argument that it's a bureaucratic nightmare to not have it all going through some kind of computer system that you can, verify somebody by. But the fact of the matter is, it hasn't stopped any of that. It's not about that. And if anybody thinks that the state, listen, we can get on to what the state is, but if anybody thinks that the state is worried about your fraud against you and all of the rest of it, they need to give their heads a wobble. That's not what it's about. It will always be sold to you as that. And you, just like you, I on the one side of it, you can go, God, yeah, I can see why that might be necessary. I absolutely don't want to someone getting into my bank account. I absolutely don't want somebody pretending they're me in the NHS, getting all my patient records messed up and stuff like that. But it absolutely opens up that kind of database to people that will hack it and will commit fraud. I'll give you an example. I do some work for a really lovely old lady that is not, into digital stuff at all or anything like that. She's got a lot of health problems at the moment. She takes a lot of medication, and a couple of weeks ago she got a phone call and the guy said, I'm one of the doctors in charge of your care. This new kind of medication that we need to give you, we need to ask you for a contribution to it. Can you give us your payment details over the phone? Like, where did he get? He was able to say things about her medical information. Where did he get that from? How was he able to get that? I mean, it was a complete scam. So does it work? No. Will it be sold to you as that? Absolutely. Can you see the sense in things like that a little bit? Of course you can, but what always happens with this stuff is they will sell it on that kind of thing, and they will never then tell you what the risks are. How did we manage without all of this, by the way, before? Did society
Exactly.
collapse?
No.
Were we not, you know, this is just where we've moved to in a technological age, which has a lot of benefits to it for speed and for convenience, but it also opens the door to allow state and corporate control. And we're already in that because we saw it during 2020. You could get your when your PayPal accounts were just shut down and frozen and stuff like that. And we already see it today. You try and get your money out of the bank. Okay, what do you want it for? What are you using it for? Listen, I had the most bizarre conversation with a bank that will remain nameless about me transferring some money from that account into my own account. Okay, so both accounts have got my name on it. But because the transfer was above their accepted daily limit, if you like, for not flagging it for fraud, so a certain limit, it goes into a fraud queue. They rang me up. They said, "Why are you making this payment?" And I said, "Because I want to pay it to myself." Did you get like notified to make this payment? Did anybody ask you to? And I said, "Are you fucking serious?" I said, "You can see it's coming from my account with you, going to my account with this bank. Are you absolutely off your head?" I said, "Of course I got asked. I asked myself." And these conversations, I've even seen people have these conversations where they've said, I've seen videos, "Yeah, well, my friend asked me to send it, okay, it's to pay for whatever," and the bank won't release it because they're like, "Oh, it could be fraud." It's all a control thing. I literally said to the bird, sorry, the woman, yeah, I'm paying myself. And when she was like, do you feel under, she still went on, "And have you been pressured?" I was like, I can't believe I'm having this conversation with somebody. You're asking me if I pressured myself to make a payment to myself. In the end, I just went, no, course, because I knew they'd slam the door shut on it. And I thought, I'm not driving a 50-mile trip each way to go then into the bloody bank to get you to release this payment. So it's already here, all of this stuff for digital ID, dressed up as this whole safety and convenience thing. And it's a big issue. And what I want to say about digital ID, and this is really important, and I spent the last 2 weeks trying to bang on about it after having banged on about it for years, but I don't think the message has gone in. Because Starmer came out and he said about brick cards, I thought, oh, here we go. They're now going to start pulling the hammer down on stuff. And I was like, listen, everyone's got digital ID already. They just have. And this whole brick card thing is it's not a card. It's not what's coming. It's here, whatever name they call it, whatever. We're already all in the digital prison. It's how we've had to live our lives. I blame ourselves. We've all gone along for it. Safety, convenience. What this latest kind of move is literally to shut the door and lock the key on you, okay, in that digital prison. So we have had digital ID for a long, long time. It is not coming. It is here. And the whole concept is a fusion between state and corporate partners, so that the corporate partners can switch you off at the bank account, at the services end, anything that's not run by the state, okay? And the state can switch you off for any service, as they call it, that is run by the state. So access to benefits, access to welfare, access to whatever. If they determine that you don't meet their tick box for whatever their conditions are for being able to be a good little slave citizen, and I am going to call it that, and I'm sorry, because I know our history has got some disgusting things that humans have done to other humans with slavery, but the fact of the matter is that this is a system that locks people into servitude, and if you do not do what you are told, not just by the state, because they're just the front men for the people that are behind it, which are corporations, and then the people that are behind them, which is a broader power structure, these global institutions, and even the people behind them, okay, because shit rolls downhill like that, and they get all these other people to enforce it. So if you do not behave yourself according to what they say, then they're literally going to switch you off. I cannot be more clear about that. Don't have your 55th jab, don't have your whatever medications, don't, worship at the master of the corporate, oligarchy and those behind it. You will be switched off, right? I'm sorry to be so blunt, but I am so tired of trying to get this message across. And anybody in this arena that says that they're awake and aware and is putting the message out, no to digital ID, stop the brick card, you are part of the problem. I'm going to call you out. I'm sorry. I'm beyond being polite about this, because you are feeding people the line that it isn't already here and that we're not already in it. And we are in it. So it's all of that. Digital ID is all of those things that we do. Fingerprint, whatever, facial scans, authenticating ourselves, two-step authentication to get into emails, that's all digital ID. Digital ID is not a brick card. It's all of those things. What's happening at the moment, and Starmer's announcement kind of covers this up a little bit by making people think it's this card that's coming. And I think that's why they've done it. What's happening at the minute is they want to take all of that data that's everywhere, and they want to get it into one kind of centralized place. And the system that they're using for that in the UK, and it will be a different system in another country, is the Gov1 login system. That's the platform that kind of takes, once you get into it, you authenticate yourself through these methods. It kind of takes all of this information into this central place. And if you go and look at the trust framework and the digital verification services for that, as to where that can then be shared and who that can then be shared with, you will understand it's basically anyone. And therefore you've got the private corporation fusion with it. That's why it's banks, it's other services, okay? And funneling it through that central kind of place to get it all into one thing is necessary, because it's all over the place at the moment. So they want you to be funneled through. And how they're getting people onto that one login, of course, is that if you need a government service, you'll be nudged into going through one login to do it. So if you want to make a universal credit claim, eventually that's all going to be mandatory to do through one login. Government gateway, for instance, is switching over to one login. They'll try and nudge you through that, okay, because they want you to do it by consent, silently. That's why his brick card thing covers all of this over, because they're going to funnel you through that. For instance, if you need a DBS check to work, a basic one, which is, there's different tiers. So a basic DBS check is the kind of like the disclosure barring service check that an employer will say, well, can you get one of these that I know you haven't got a criminal record? You now can't get that without going on one login. Okay. The next level up, the standard one, which the employer leads on that, like if you work with vulnerable, say kids or adults, so I used to have a standard one in my job, because I used to go into client homes and do stuff, and all my employees did. That's kind of employee led, the employer led. The employer has to apply for that, and you can still push back and say, I want to do the paper route on that. But on the basic one that you get yourself, you can't. You have to go through one login. And, we never had DBS checks in the past. We never had disclosure barring. These are all things that have come in to, tighten the net and make it so that you have to go through this procedure eventually. And like I said, it goes back a long, long way. And all the acts of Parliament and all the changes, they're all part of it. And all these latest acts, like the Data Use and Data Use and Access Act, the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act, the Children's Wellbeing Bill, the Digital Trust Framework, the Digital Verification Services. They're all just to widen the scope of this, what is going on, where it can all be shared. It's like a single sign-on, okay? So digital ID is everything. One login gives you this puts you into this single sign-on, and you're signed up to the terms and conditions of it, which please go and have a read at where your stuff can go. And that's the state end of it. It's then corporate partners can get it shared with. Gov Wallet is coming after one login, and it can't really happen to a large degree unless people are into this one login system. The Gov Wallet thing is where the ID documents are going to be stored. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to get everybody into this system without knowing what it is, and kind of by consent. Yeah.
Well, they did it with me, and we talked about this earlier in the week. And I'm being very honest with you. Look, here I am doing a podcast. You know, I'm awake to a lot of crap that's going on. But, you know, I get an email from my so-called awake accountant saying, Ahmed, you need to do this digital verification thing. It's a new thing for companies have. It's very simple. We can do it, or you can just do it yourself. Follow this link. And I was like, you know what? All right, okay, fine. And I did it. And next thing I was like, hold on 1 second. What have I just done? And then you told me about that. You know, you've given away, like, you've logged on to this OneGov UK, whatever fucking thing it is. But thankfully you explained to me, and I've managed to deactivate my account now. And, you know, now I'm writing letters to them saying, you know, erase my history basically. But, you know, I get suckered into it. No one gave me informed consent. No one said to me, this is part of the digital ID, but I just thought it was just another bureaucratic red tape bullshit fraud thing that I need to just do. And it's like, all right, fine. But fucking hell, man.
Yeah. And listen, I know loads of people that have done it. And I'm going to be honest with you, all of us in some way have signed up to part of this system. Even if you had Government Gateway years ago and things like that, you've given them certain things. It's not, when I spoke to you and I said to you, look, you know, you can delete your account at the moment. You can delete your account. Everything you've put in there is lost, and you're going to have to go through any re-authentication process again for whatever, which I don't care about. But, you know, you can delete it. But as you know, when I spoke to you, I said it's not, that actually deletes your kind of password and everything that you've done in there, but it won't take out all the stuff that you've been in there. And that's why I said to you, you've got to go and do your right to be forgotten. There are legal get outs for that anyway, but go and do it. Okay. And I sent you a list, I think, of where they share all the stuff. And then I was like, I would even do also a DSAR, data subject access request, and see where it's all gone. It will be an interesting exercise.
And I just need to know where that I need to write that DSAR. I need to look up how to do a DSAR. I haven't got around to doing that yet.
It's not hard. It's just like, you know, it's not some big massive thing that you can do. And I sent you all the list of the departments, and then you start to realise I've deleted my one login, but now I've got a right to 25 different departments that have all been provided with it. You know, driving license. If you've done something for your driving license, obviously Companies House are not going to delete your ID that you've put up, because they're going to say to you, "Oh, we need to keep that for a valid legal reason, which is under the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act, to verify who you are." So you're never going to be able to get rid of it. One login is, you know, it's not. I don't know how to say this, because it's really nefarious, because it is like the centralized kind of way, the single sign-on thing. But if you've gone into it like you have by accident, and you think, well, fuck that, I need to delete it and everything else, then that's the best thing to do at the moment, to get rid of it and to get rid of as much data as you can on it. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, it's happening. It's happening to all of us. And even if you don't go through that kind of like one centralized login platform, that they're selling it as gov, you know, they're selling it as the state to sell trust. Anyone that still trusts the state is mental. You know, they're not running things, and they're just the henchmen, the front henchmen to enforce stuff, but they're selling it to people as government secured, government, what, you know, government trusted, that kind of thing. So you'll go through that, but they'll
basically it's the equivalent.
Actually,
So I'll give you an example. What you're trying to articulate is, like, for example, medicine. It's not the doctors. If you think the doctors are the ones that are treating you, you're an idiot. It's big pharma. Big pharma hides behind that doctor, giving them that respectable front. And the parallel is our governments are like the doctor, but actually the people who are pulling the strings and running the show are the corporations, the banks, the globalists, the massive companies. But they can't, you know, say directly, by the way, we're running the show here and we're ruling, because everybody would be like in an uproar. So they put that nice government front in place between us and them, so that we think, oh, well, the government cares about us. And so many stupid people sadly do. Just like the doctor cares about us, when the doctor's just reading through the guidelines and protocols and doing as the corporations tell him to do, or her to do. And it's the exact same with the politicians. They're just doing what their masters are telling them to do. But listen, Claire, what about the solutions? Are you trying to tell me there are no solutions? What can we do to stop this? Or is this inevitable?
Well, it's already here. It's already here, and it's been here for a long time. It's just now preventing that, or trying to prevent that one funneled gateway into it. The fact of the matter is that I really want to get this through to people, okay? So I'm going to deviate a little bit from what you've said, and then I'm going to come back to what you've said about solutions. No, I want people to cast their mind back to the dark, dark days of 2020, okay? And I'm sorry to take you there, everybody. And I want every single person to ask themselves, all of these mandates, all of these rules, all of these laws, if you didn't do this, you couldn't do this. If you wouldn't have this, you can't go here. I want people to ask themselves, who came to your door and knocked on it and told you that you have to do it? Who enforced it on you? Did a government minister come and knock on your door? Did an MP come and knock on your door? No. It's people that do it to other people. It's businesses. It's corporations. Now, the big corporations, because they're all part of this agenda, so your banks and your really big corporations, you know, they are the ones that are going to be used to enforce this. But the smaller people, the smaller businesses and everything like that, you know, if you go along with this and you start enforcing it on other people, you are part of the problem. It is always the people that I have said that I fear. I don't fear the government and those behind them and those behind them. I fear the rest of the people that become the order follower enforcers on everybody else. And I'm sorry, you know, take some responsibility. That's why I said at the beginning, I'm not going along with this, and anyone can come to my business. Don't wear a mask. Don't care if you're jabbed. Not putting you through a face scan for anything. You know, I am not going to stop you from accessing a service that I can offer because of what these psychos say. So I just want to make that clear to everybody. So part of the solution to this is that you don't start enforcing it on other people. That's part of it. Okay. Now there's a risk to that. I'm not going to lie. And you will run the risk that I ran. You will run the risk that you ran when you said, I'm not gonna push COVID jabs. I'm not gonna say they're safe because I'm a doctor. You lost everything. I lost everything. Came out of it with my self-respect, whatever. But I lost ultimately, you know, the good standing in my profession. I was professionally ridiculed. They made my life very difficult on lots of things. And of course, what they always do is go to the regulator, because the regulators are just there to make you conform. It's all a control system.
Yeah,
And
100%.
So I want people to remember that it's always other people, because it will have been other doctors complaining about you, like it was other lawyers complaining about me, or members of the public complaining, and people writing fake reviews and all the rest of it. Ultimately, I knew that I knew that the legal system was a control system and a weapon, just like medicine is. I didn't really realise the extent to which I don't think it was like that. Because I always believed if I was working in it that I could make a difference. But it's impossible, and so I'm not sorry to be out of it. And I was heading that way anyway. But I suffered. I really suffered for what I did. Speaking out about Midazolam, I really suffered. My employees suffered because I employed people, and that's what the system does to you. It will destroy you. But the fact of the matter is, I said to my husband, and it's even worse than that actually, and you're probably facing this, because my husband said to me before I put that Midazolam video up, and I said, I can't not do this. I've got to feel that I'm at least on the right side of history by telling people what's going on. Before I put it up, he said to me, I'm not saying don't put it up. I just want to make sure that you've thought about it. You do realise you're never, ever going to be able to get another job again once you do this, don't you? No one will employ you. No company, whatever, because it's forever. The internet's forever. They'll Google your name, and all you need to do is go and Google my name, and they will be able to find all this stuff, and they won't employ you. And I said, yeah, I do know that. And he went, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure 100% support you in what you're doing. I just wanted to make sure that you really did understand. And I went, I absolutely understand. My life in this world, not just the legal world, but the kind of like corporate employee and employer relationship, anything, it's over. I know it's over if I do this. And it is over. Because, and I don't give a shit that it's over actually, because don't tell me that you can't go and find another way to earn money, okay, whatever way that is. And so I knew it was over, and that's what everybody has got to come to the realization of, is if you want to stand on the right side of history, then unfortunately you're going to have to sacrifice something. Because when tyranny has got this far down the line, when it has been allowed to get this far down the line by us, and I know a lot of it's been covered over and there's been a lot of coercion, but when we get to where we are, then you ain't getting freedom back without sacrifice. That's the truth. And if you say that you stand for that and you don't want all of this, then you need to settle yourself with what you're maybe about to lose. That's the truth. And you see this all over social media, because they've got people so into reliance on the system that people say there's all this kind of chest beating, digital ID and all the rest of it, it's my hill. And then you say to people, you won't be able to get your medications. Oh, well, I can't have that. Or you won't be able to get your benefits. Oh my God, I can't have that. I get it. I absolutely get it. We have a company. I still have my old company from when I was, and I haven't filed my confirmation statement at all, and they still haven't struck me off. I don't need that company. I don't use it. But we do. My husband has a company, and we will not do this verification thing. I object to it. It's already, there is no need for it in the way that you want it. If you want, I'm happy to provide you with copies of my documentation or whatever, but I am not doing it the way that you want it done. And I know what that means. We know what that means. We're probably going to lose the company. We're probably going to lose our house. We're probably going to we'll definitely lose, any income that comes through the company. And I'm at the stage where I'm like, I don't care. You are not going to blackmail me into further servitude, by saying that you're going to take these things away. I know people will find that or think that's either flippant or I'm not being honest about that I don't care. But I'm telling you the truth, and everybody needs to get to the point where they don't care, because they have literally took everything away from me over the last 5 years. Okay, and lots of other people, you know, have even broken the family bonds and the family relationships by causing, you know, all these arguments that stemmed from 2020. If you didn't have a jab, you can't come for Christmas, and if you don't wear a mask, you're this, and people don't talk to each other anymore in their own families, friendship bonds broken, all the rest of it. I'm at the stage where I'm like, they've got me to the stage that everybody needs to get at, where I'm like, I don't care. I am so
Claire.
sick of what you've done. You've took everything, and there's nothing more that you can do to me. And when you're like that, you can't be controlled, and you're dangerous.
Super insightful consultation, and Doc M came into it with an incredible amount of information and support. I really felt he was there to help, that he cared, and that he genuinely wants the best for you. Can't recommend him enough. Thanks again, Doc. From Dave. And folks, if you want to see 40 other reviews, 5-star reviews, just visit my website, docmalik.com, and you can look at in the menu consultations, or go directly to the booking page, docmalik.setmore.com. Book a consultation with me. If you're unsure about how to move forward with a diagnosis, with a treatment plan, or you feel like you're stuck in a rut, you don't trust your doctor, you've had surgeries and pills, and you've got side effects, whatever it might be, I can help you. I can act as your advocate. I can help you work the system to your benefit, knowing what questions to ask and to explore options that the mainstream doctors might not have covered with you. Folks, if this resonates with you, please book a consultation with me, and I can't wait to help you. Back to the show. I know you are. And we're both on the same page. And we talked about this, how we both handed back our licenses and registration and said we've had enough. You can't be in the system 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You can't be criticizing it and they'll let you off. They'll come for you and hound you. And I get that. You know, I lost my career, I lost everything. But, you know, what I want to say to you is, what worries me is, like, you and I can see it. Like, we know this is so fucking bad. And we are willing to like die on this hill. Like, but the problem is 95% of the population, or 90% of the population, don't even know it's a problem, are happily going along and will be like, what's the issue? You guys are just crazy. You're mad. And while we're screaming at them saying there's a train crash happening right now, you know, move out the way, they're like, no, you're crazy. It's just fine here. And then the other problem is, say you've got 9% people who know it's a problem. So you've got 90% people who don't have a clue. 9% know it's a problem, and they're cheering you on, cheering me on. But when it comes to the actual crunch, they're not going to do jack shit. They'll be like, oh, okay, fine. Or, you know, we're just, you know, tricked into it. The number of people who will actually say, no, we're not going to do it, we'll risk losing our job and our company and our money or whatever, at this moment in time, despite you and I knowing how bad the shit is minuscule. And that's why I fear it's going to get so much worse. Like, we can't contemplate it getting any worse. It's going to get fucking bad. Like, we're only at the start of the badness, I'm afraid to say. Like, it's going to be so fucking bad. Years from now, people will be like, what the fuck? Why did we let this happen? And it's like, yeah, well, because you're sleeping on the fucking watch. That's why. That's where I am, Claire.
Well, the fact of the matter is, we're sitting here now saying how it was so bad in 2020. It's still so bad now. How did we get here? And we got here because of all the things that you know, if you want to look at it just from the digital ID thing, all the March 100 years. And, you know, I agree with you. I actually think that I actually don't think it's as clear cut as a kind of 90%, 10%. I think actually there's a lot more people that know something isn't right, but either they don't know that they're co-opting themselves into it because they're kind of funneled there and they don't really realise what it is.
Like I was by my accountant.
I mean, like I said, we're all in digital ID anyway. Please start thinking digital ID is just all the things that we do, all the identification stuff, all the face scans, all the fingerprint stuff we do, all the whatever. That is what digital ID is. What we're talking about is the system that locks the cage on that. And it will be different platforms that do that in different countries. They'll have different names, but they'll all be the same mechanism. So I don't think it's as, what I do think is that the people that really don't have a problem with this and don't see anything wrong with it, I genuinely, I think they're lost. I'm not interested in waking them up. It's too far down the line. If that's how you want to live your life, I think that's your own free will. You do that, you take the consequences of what comes with it. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to have a conversation with you. I'm not going to try and change your mind. I have a problem with the people that know something's wrong and they know what this issue is and that it's ultimate control, and they try to say or try to sell that they will stand against it, and actually they won't. And I'm at the stage, I am so blunt now, I am not, I have no soft skills. I will literally say to you, their face and on social media, stop lying, because you are going to go along with it. And I'll give you an example. Mr. Nigel Farage is going to go to prison if he doesn't have, because he won't have digital ID. He's willing to go to prison. Okay, Nigel, do us a favour then. Can you let us know if you're going to have your company verified, your form that's a company? Going to go through that, are you? And all you other outfits that are saying that you are against this in a company structure, what are you going to do? Let's have some honesty about this. Are you going to go along and get your company verified? Now, do I mean that if you get your company verified, that you're, all of a sudden locked out and all the rest of it? No, I don't mean that. What I mean is that you're part of putting your stuff into that architecture. You're putting those details into that architecture. You're adding to it. Stop lying to people like Nigel Farage. I'm going to stand against brick cards. Start telling the truth. And all the other groups that are fighting against this, get your messaging right. If you say that you don't want digital ID, explain to people that it's already here. We've already got it. That's how we operate in life. What you should be saying is, what we don't want is a one login to rule them all, or a lock that can lock it, right? A centralized place where it's funneled. The corporate and state fusion, which has been going on and talked about ad infinitum by people like Whitney Webb. Okay, it's so in your face. Ian Davis in this together on Twitter absolutely knows. Loads of people know what's going on with it. Start telling people what it really is here. We've had it ages, and now they just want to lock the key on it, right? So you asked me about what can we do about this. There's just sod all. You are never going to untangle that system. It's here, it's been here, it's whatever. What you have to do is make my hair, it's in my eyes. The one, like systems like One Login, like Gov Wallet, largely redundant for the it has to be largely redundant. Well, it actually has to be completely redundant for the people that don't want to use it. And so what anyone campaigning against it needs to be campaigning on is that there is an open, accessible, easy, cheap, paper alternative route, and that no one, corporation or state, can shut you out of anything because you won't say how high when they say jump through your digital verification. That's what the battle is. That's what the fight is.
Okay, is there a way of verifying through companies as through a paper route?
No, not really. There is the first one they sell you is the full one login that you did by accident and thought, oh, it's just another, whatever. The second one is the post office route that you start on one login. And the third one is the authorised corporate service provider, where you will not have a front end login yourself to one login at all. So if you want to call that the safer route, I guess you could call it that. What happens is the authorised corporate service provider, however, what you'll find, they will say to you, right, we need to, because they have to verify your identity, which they then submit to Companies House through their system that they've done that, and they provide details from that verification that they've took. So it's not, although you're not going through one login, it's still putting all your details into that architecture. And what you'll find is, as I explained earlier, they won't do it by paper verification, a lot of them. They'll say, we can do it, we need to verify your ID, do this face scan. So, you know, you're still kind of, my problem with it is you are adding to this whole consent thing by doing it, and you're adding to this architecture. So that's what the issue is. So is it better than going through one login? Yes, in the sense that you're not going through the front end. Is it actually solving a problem? No, it's just adding into the architecture.
I know you consoled me and said don't feel bad about it. I just feel like such a fucking idiot.
Like, no, don't feel bad about it, because
you know,
so many people...
but you know, I'm happy saying this because you know how there's that saying, it's easier to fool people than admit that they've been fooled. I just want to show people it's okay. I'm admitting I was fooled. I'm being honest about it. And I'm just saying, fucking hell, man. Fucking hell.
And even if you'd have gone down the ACSP route to some degree, you would have, like I said, you're still, what it is it's the ID stuff, it's the verification stuff that puts it into the architecture. So whether you go through the front end or whether you go through the back end, it's still in there. And all you've done is gone...
I wish my accountant, who's meant to be awake, I trusted him, like, because he's awake. He listens to my fucking podcast. He loves it. And
I'm just putting my other glasses on because I want to read you something.
Okay, I was hoping, like, you know, I could trust his judgment. And he was like, yeah, I mean, it's just a formality thing. You know, we can either charge you for it or you can just do it yourself. Like, I don't fucking trust government. But when I heard it from him, I was like, all right, okay, like, whatever. It's fucking.
And therein lies what the problem is. There's a massive misconception about what this is. Now, like I said, they started with the DBS checks, the basic ones. Now they've come for company directors, and this is like to co-opt people in, and they're going to do it by stealth like this. The next,
like they did the care workers first, then the NHS. It's like slowly, you just fucking get everybody into it.
Yeah, so
motherfuckers.
And that's why he wants to come out and say Brick Card and all the rest of it. So everybody's like thinking, right, need to defeat Brick Card, while in the background you're co-opted in. I just want to read you something that, and Ian Davis has got a really good video out on this. If people don't know who Ian Davis is, his handle is In This Together, @_ In This Together on X.
And he's brilliant.
Yeah, he is brilliant. He absolutely knows bang on what's going on. Somebody had asked him a question and said, digital ID is single sign-on. Once the government owns the single sign-on, everything connected is locked out. Don't suggest otherwise. They were having a go at him. And he said, well, no, it isn't. Access to online government services using digital ID is the single sign-on. So this verification, this whatever. Digital ID itself is an interoperable network linking your government single sign-on on the back end to private sector services such as your bank. I cannot put it more succinctly than that. I can't put it into a small amount of words like he has. You know, I have this inability to do that. And what you can say in a few words, I use 1,000 for. He's absolutely bang on. And the person replies, so the government closes the single sign-on and bingo, the private sector, my bank, stops as well. The government could tell the private company to freeze those assets and the corporate will do immediately. They do it daily under freezing orders. And if you've ever been on the receiving end, you have no access to anything, regardless if you are innocent or not. And Ian replied, yeah, sure, I get that. That is the point of digital ID. I thought you were saying that digital ID is the government SSO, and it is not. As I have said, digital ID fuses public and private sector services together, making freezing orders unnecessary completely, especially once they get digital currency in. So basically, that's what it is. It's not, as Ian says, access to other government services using digital ID is single sign-on, or SSO, if you see that put in anywhere. The digital ID itself is just the interoperable network that links everything together. And in this country, it's the one login platform. So, them saying to you, you need to do this to access a government service is digital ID. Okay, the single sign-on is just like linking it all up together, the interoperable network. I'm just lost my bookmark on it. And he explains it well. And even my language is not right on this with what I'm trying to explain to people. It's so confusing for people to understand. So it's the access using the digital ID verification, your biometric passport, your biometric driving license, your facial scans, your fingerprints, if that's what it is as well. That's digital ID giving you the single sign-on, okay? And then it's linked, that single sign-on is linked at the back end to private sector services through the public and private fusion. That's what it is. I can't explain it any better than him.
No, it's great. So instead of having like these single user sign-ins like you used to have, they suddenly made it two-factor authentication and this and that and text messages and emails. And now they're corral us for convenience into this one gov thing and say, now you can have your single sign-on back again. Motherfuckers.
Yeah, and listen, if it's not one gov login, it will be something else that puts you into this like single sign-on for anything that tells you everything you ever need to prove your identity to someone. It can be found in this one place, because Gov Wallet is coming in 2029, which is all of that information that's in that you use for identity, passports and your driving licenses and everything. That's what the wallet is, that stores it all. And the one login is to get you into that, to share it all with all the private things.
Yeah. Have you heard what was I going to say? Okay, I lost my thread in this one. Oh, it's so annoying. This never happens to me. But I had something really, really important to say. Oh, Lord.
It'll come. Forget about it for now.
Okay.
And let's just say that hopefully now, with everything we've said, people understand that digital ID is here. We've been using it for years, and now it's just they need to get you into the system, and then the Gov Wallet.
Right, I've remembered now. Have you heard of ISO 222?
Say it again.
ISO 222. You heard of that?
Do you mean ISO?
Yeah.
ISO
222. Have you heard about it?
200. No, but if it's the ISO that I think it is, it's a set of standards that you.
Yeah. Listen, this is behind everything. This is like next level shit we need to talk about. So ISO, International Standards Organization, is fucking supranational governing body like for standardization, and its individual members are all these like British Standards Institute or whatever, and it's not accountable to anyone. It's not accountable to any government. It's not represented by any people. It's not accountable. Like, it's fucking bullshit. It's like the Bank of International Settlements. And even though it's not governments then say, oh, well, the ISO said this, so we need to standardize according to their thing. But they get a lot of funding and influence from corporations and banks as their partners. So this ISO 222 is an international standard for electronic exchange of financial information. Now, it sounds a bit dry, but this is where it gets really interesting. Why are they adding this? Because it replaces the older message formats like Swift MT messaging, because it's adding much more information to each transaction. Like, who's sending it, who's receiving it, what's their details, date of birth, address, everything. What's the purpose of your payment and all that regulatory information? And it's and honestly, it's fucking bullshit. Like, this is behind the reason why you're getting asked. So you get surveillance and loss of privacy. Every transaction under ISO 222 carries rich metadata, names, IDs, purposes, categories, everything. So the government and corporations have complete visibility into people's financial lives. There's no privacy. It's the foundation for the CBDCs. So it enables the central banks to integrate programmable digital currencies. So they can decide how you spend your money, when you spend your money, and who you can spend your money to. They can sanction and censor as well, potentially. Like, they'll just block payments, like trace payments on political, social, ideological criteria. Global synchronization and more and more. It's fucking dangerous. Now, I'll give you an example. Like, once every year, I get someone saying, I want to donate some money to you. Do I have to, I just want to donate something to you, Ahmed. Do I have to buy me a coffee or something? And I'm like, whatever. Can I give you your bank details? I'm like, yep, I trust them. And it always gets blocked. I don't even know why I bother. Like, for the last 2 years, it's never worked. Like, it always gets blocked. So, like, the latest one is some lady in America said, I really want to do it. And I trust her. I've known her now 3 years. She's been one of my followers. So I just want to send you some extra money, Ahmed. It's like, thank you. And, Christmas present, whatever. And it's not even that much. It's just a few $100s, right? And she shows me the screenshot. This person may be on the international sanctions list. This is just transaction. This transaction.
Experian doing all of that, checking you. They've got all the yeah.
This transaction is cancelled. Now, I don't have a credit card. I don't have any debts other than the mortgage. I'm on a sanctions list. Like, what the fuck?
You're probably not on a sanctions list, but what happens is, and I can tell you this from my experience of having to do this in the legal profession, like, you've got a name. I don't know how common the name Malik or Ahmed is in other countries. So, for instance, you could have a name John Smith. It's really common. I don't know if your name qualifies as that, in other countries. So we used to ID check people. We used to get like a politically exposed person or sanctions check saying 50 million, 500 John Smiths are on a list, and they even provide you with a photograph saying, is this your client? Is it this? And you have to tick no. The onus is put on the person that's ticking no. So I would go to prison. It's not, even if their photo's out of date. So that's how that happens. You're probably not on a sanctions list, but some Ahmed Malik somewhere is on a sanctions list. So you get tied up with it like that. But
anyway, let's go back. But the ISO 222, folks, as you know, I've got no sponsors for the show, so no one pays me money to place ads. I do have an affiliate page, a shop page. So if you visit my website, docmalik.com, you'll see there's a shop page, and you can look at Hunter Gather. They do great food. We've been using them for years before even I started the podcast, and there's a little code you can use there. And there's a lovely sauna company, Wellness Heracles, that has an affiliate code with me. They have brilliant saunas and cold plunges. I highly recommend you visit my page and have a look at that. And there'll be some other ones as well, like Sea Green supplements with iodine and micronutrients. Like I said, they don't sponsor me, but if you buy from them, I do get a little tiny percentage, and it will go a long way to supporting the show. Folks, I also want to say thanks to all of you who've been leaving reviews on Spotify, the 5-star reviews. I've seen that they've gone up. I can't thank you enough. And also on Apple Podcasts. And on that note, I just want to say thanks to Antonia Eastwood, who wrote the following comment: entertaining and informative, 5 stars. I look forward to Doc Malik's podcast very much. He has a very good, easy to listen to style with informative, insightful, and interesting guests that will help you beat the system. I don't think there's been one episode where I haven't been entertained or informed. Thank you, Antonia, and thank you everyone else who's leaving reviews and sharing my content. It makes a difference. Okay, folks, back to the podcast, and thank you so much. It's really nefarious. It's fucking evil, and it's already here. And they've all bought into it, and it's all from the corporations.
Of course they've bought into it. Because it's them. Listen, ISO started years ago, and this is another thing that they did. They started to sell it and they always do this with this carrot approach. a lot of lawyers will say ISO accredited, if you go and have a look to whatever, and it's each of them's got a number, like you said, this is the next iteration of it. And they used to sell it as if you have ISO accreditation, your indemnity insurance will be cheaper because you're meeting certain standards, or it's a standard to have that you can attract clients to it and all the rest of it. And I was like, I'm never having ISO. Loads of companies have got an ISO. If it's the same ISO that I'm thinking of, that you're talking about, and I'm sure it is, they just keep coming out with this next iteration of it. And to get your little check mark is just basically do all of these horrible things to people that, so it's really nefarious, and people have to understand that anything like that is part of the problem, and it's been going on for years to desensitize people into this kind of framework, so but I just want to say, the Gov1 login, go and have a look. It even says we may need to share information with government departments, so every government department going, other public sector organisations such as the Home Office, law enforcement agencies, Experian, the credit reference agency, and they are as nefarious as anything. All these credit score things that came in and whatever, that was the first iteration of it, because you had to interact with the system to keep a good credit score. I know people whose credit scores are not good, not because they've done anything wrong, but they haven't got a thick file because they've not had interaction with the system in the way of loans, mortgages, they deal in cash. If you've got a bad credit score, good luck getting a landlord to take you on as a tenant. Also, data processors who provide relevant monitoring services. But doesn't say what that is. So basically, it's any old Tom, Dick and Harry. And the information that they may share includes your phone number, your email address, your IP address, your location derived from the IP address, unique account identifiers, information about the device you are using, including its identity, your document details, name and date of birth, address history. And if they decide that they've got a concern about fraudulent activity, they're going to start then sharing your passport, driving license, biometric, resident permit, identity cards, and you will have to re-authenticate through that. And I want to let people know, okay, yesterday, after all of this is just, they're pushing the hammer on this in the UK, I got an email from Stripe. If anybody, and this is part of the problem, if anybody does a podcast and they've got a subscription-based model or Substack, probably you've got to have what they call a payment processor. Yeah. So when people subscribe and they pay, it doesn't go direct to your bank account. It goes through an intermediary, okay, which is Stripe, SumUp, PayPal. There's a couple of others, I can't remember what their names are, who charge a fee. Anyway, but I got an email.
For doing fucking what as well? You're right.
It's all a con.
It's all a con.
You could put your bank details on there, right? Even Buy Me a Coffee, Ko-fi and all of that, they all have to go through this payment processor, okay? You can't have it just linked to your debit card to pay into your account. They go through this third-party platform, this intermediary. What did I get yesterday? And so did Fiona Rose Diamond, who's running the mass non-compliance campaign, who has all this information that I've talked about on her website, massnoncompliance.com. We both got from Stripe, you need to verify your identity, otherwise we're going to lock you out of your account. And I am telling you, independent podcasters, they are coming for you. You are not going to keep your payment processing unless you go through this. So you better prepare for it.
So what do we do? So what do we do?
There's nothing you can do apart from ask people to pay it directly to your bank, and you've just explained what the problem is with that. This is what I mean about corporate partners holding ultimate control over things. When did we get to the stage that you had to have a third-party platform like Go Cardless or SumUp or Stripe or PayPal?
Tell me about it.
Make these payments into your bank, and they will tell you it's all because of fraud, or it's all because of this, or it's all because of that. But the reality is, now, I put the picture up. It said I must provide a valid photo ID and biometrics to avoid disruptions to capabilities. So I thought, okay. It says no deadline assigned on this, but action required. So they're not quite saying if you don't do it in 2 weeks, it's coming off. What they're saying is, you know what's coming because of what's going on in, you know what we've just talked about. So I went and clicked on find out more. And you go on to find out more and you go, oh yes, the same shit setup as I've just read out to you with Gov1 login. We may share this with, we may means they will, okay, with these people, and it could be biometrics, and it could be this, and it could be that, and this is how they're going to get people, because everybody's going to go, well, I can't afford to lose my income, or I can't afford to lose my job, or I can't afford to lose my home or my company or whatever. And I'm just going to be really honest with people. If you sign up to this, you are going to lose everything. You are going to lose everything because you've signed up to it. So if you think you're going to lose everything if you don't sign up to it, you might as well just go down the tack of not signing up to it, because you're going to lose everything anyway. Might not be tomorrow, but you will, because the point is to get you into the cage and then lock it at will. And I'm sorry, do you want to be in the position that you're told that if you don't have their next poison medication, that you can't get into your bank, or you can't get into your you can't go to your, you can't get a job, you can't get a home to rent, you can't get a whatever. They cut off everything, right? Because that's what they'll do eventually when they decide that they want to roll out the next whatever. And that's the truth of it. You need to get into the mindset that, well, if we do it, we're going to lose it. If we don't do it, so we're going to lose it. So what side are you going to be on? Are you going to be on the side that says, well, I might get another year out of this, or I might get another 2 years out of this, or I might even get the rest of my life out of this, but my children won't, my children's children won't. And like I said, when your tyranny's got this far, freedom can only be regained through some form of sacrifice. Unfortunately, you've got to give up something when you get to this stage. You're not gonna win it by whinging on social media, and your direct actions in the world then don't match up to what you're saying on social media. If you're feeling it's wrong, and if you're saying it's wrong and you're going to stand against it, unfortunately, folks, in the real world, your direct action has got to match with that.
Amen. Absolutely. I just want to show you about these third-party things, right? So, I mean, I've only got a few subscribers, and when they do subscribe, look, if it's from the App Store, you received a payout of $78.64. Your gross,
look.
But look, the gross earnings were $140.35. App Store deductions, $51 for what? Substack fee, $10. I get a fucking fraction of that.
Well, it's half. Look, it's half, almost only half. What I will say to you is, I don't know who your payment processor is then, because I don't see App Store payout on my Substack, and I don't have a lot of paid subscribers. And I'm going to come on to this in a minute. Because this is really important. Mine is Stripe. My payment processor is Stripe. I've got a Stripe account. I'm not sure who your payment processor is.
No. Substack is only through Stripe. But what I'm saying is the app, I don't know what App Store, like the Apple Store.
Because I don't. Yeah, because you can do it through. You can link your Apple Pay account to it. Maybe that's what it is.
No, I think it is, because it's an Apple Pay. Because people have. So one guy actually said, "Oh, I've managed to pay through the App Store," and I was like, "Don't fucking do that." Like, you know, he's quite a wealthy guy, and he told me, "Oh, I've signed up." I was like, "Oh, that's great." And he sent me a screenshot. I was like, "Oh, I had difficulty signing up, and but I've done it now." And I was like, "Oh, dude, £6 a month I thought you would have set a founding rate. I mean, he's multi-millionaire. I was like, at least a founding rate. He went, oh, I'm sorry. And I went, and not just that, mate, you're £6 a month. I'm seeing half of that because you did it through the App Store. And then he goes, well, I'm sorry, I don't know how to do it any other way. I'm like, oh, just forget it. Just like, you know what?
Listen, I'm at the stage now that I'm going to say to people, if you want to make a donation, you're going to have to post me a check. Why do you think they've got rid of them? And I'll go and bank it into my bank account. So, you know, as I say, I don't know what this whole App Store thing is. I've never had that on my own thing. Mine is purely through
It's Apple Pay.
I've got nothing else linked to it apart from Stripe. So when people make a donation, it goes through Stripe. They take their cut of it, which is a lot less than what you've just shown me.
Guys, do not use the fucking App Store, Apple Pay or whatever to sign up to my Substack or anyone's Substack because you're feeding the beast. You're feeding the beast system.
I don't know if somehow you've got something linked to it that you didn't even realise neither, because I don't have.
No, I haven't. I haven't.
Whatever, none of that.
And by the way, and that's not all of them. That's just some people who sign up is through the App Store. Like, I'm not linked to any Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal. Not got any of that stuff.
No, but unfortunately for you, like you said, in this country, you cannot have anything where people can subscribe or donate. So buy me a coffee, the Ko-fi thing, the whatever, all of them have to, in this country, run through a payment processor. Stripe, SumUp, Go Cardless, whatever one it is, PayPal, whatever one you choose, it has to run through that. And that's why I'm saying they're coming for you, podcasters, you know, because you're not going to be able to keep it unless you go and do all of this, and you're going to have to decide, am I going to do this? So you need to start thinking about that now and having that conversation with yourself and making plans about how you might want to get around it. Send me a check, send me a backs payment through this instead, you know, direct to this bank account, and hopefully it won't get stopped for fraud. But that's the idea, is to stop all of this, you know, to stop that happening. But on the whole subscription thing anyway, for a long time now, a good number of months, I've been thinking, do you know what, I want to move away from this subscription model. It's not right. When I first did my Substack, and I'm going to be really frank with people now, okay, I was like, I don't really want to put this behind a paywall. You know, I have a belief that information's information. And if you've got the ability to share it, then you should share it because you want people to know the information, because you believe it will help them to grow and evolve and be able to be better in the world about stuff. But it's a lot of work to give people that information as well. Okay, there's a lot of knowledge that goes into it. There's a lot of research. There's a lot of whatever. And not, you know, I'm also sick of spoon feeding people, because people need to take self-responsibility and get this knowledge themselves. I'm happy when people say to me, I've looked at all of this and this is what I think it means, but I don't know if I'm understanding it. I'll have a conversation with them then. But the fact is, I'm fed up of spoon feeding people. And I thought, when I started my Substack, I thought, you know what, I know that there are so many people in the world that don't want to do this work for themselves and look at stuff, and will happily take from anybody else that is giving it to them without ever getting off their ass. And I am so fed up of these people that I'm going to shove some of my stuff behind a paywall. Okay. And anyone that goes on my Substack will see that the only stuff that I have shoved behind a paywall is stuff to do with how you can save tax and the legal stuff about that, and all the stuff that I used to do when I was a lawyer, right? It's not the important stuff about the digital ID and all of this stuff. That's not behind a paywall. But I even got to the stage where I thought, do you know what? I hate this system. I absolutely hate this system. It runs throughout our whole world, where if you've got the money to pay for it, then you can get special extra things that other people can't. So you're basically punishing people that are in poverty, Claire, if you go along with it, because that's what the system does. If you know this, you can't have a passport for 3 months unless you pay 200 quid, and then you can come down and get it on the day. So money, the god that everybody is run by is, you know, forcing this system onto everyone. And I thought, I don't want to be a part of it. I do not want to put my things behind paywalls that essentially are saying if you don't pay, you can't get it. I'm going to move to a donation only model. I was speaking to my friend 2 weeks ago about it. I said, I'm going donation only. I'm taking everything off subscription, paid subscription. And because I want people through their conscience to think, if I've got value out of this girl's stuff that she's put out, I'm going to make a one-off donation as a thank you. It's a thank you. I don't want them to have to be locked into a subscription. And that one-off donation can be whatever those people can afford. And I want it to be driven through their conscience to do that, because that's the model that we need to adopt going forward longer term. I said, I know that there'll be some arseholes that will literally take everything and will never give anything back. Unfortunately, that's part of the reason why we're in the mess we're in, because people aren't very nice, okay? But I also know that there'll be a lot of other people that will say, I couldn't afford a £5 a month, but I can give £2.50. That's all I've got, okay? And I literally, like I said to my friend the other day, I've got a lot of subscribers, a lot of I call followers. I hate followers because it makes it sound like you're Jesus and no one is, you know, I'm not, that's not what I mean. On my Telegram, on my X, on my Substack, I've got not quite 3,000. And the fact of the matter is, if everybody on my Telegram channel, and I'm not asking them to do this, by the way, I'm just making a point, gave me £1 a year, £1, I would have an income that I would be like able to spend a lot more time on the research and on all of this stuff to try and bring that information to people. But people don't want to do that.
You know what it is? People don't value this. People don't value, and I hate to say this, they also don't value things that are free. You know, when I put a paywall up because I lost everything, that's when I got 95% of my subscribers, because they were getting, you know, 1 in 3 content is behind a paywall, and I still get flack for that. I still get flack for, oh, why have you got one? And I'm like, do you know this is my full-time job? Do you know I've sacrificed everything? Do you know I've got a young family and a mortgage? Do you know I'm working day and night, harder now than at any point as a surgeon? And you're upset I've got a paywall and you're consuming 2/3 of my output for free? Do you know anyone who works for free? Like, who?
Well,
who?
This is the thing, but I hate the system.
I hate the system. I hate the system.
I don't want to be a part of that anymore, because it is.
Well, you're further along than me. Maybe I'll come to your viewpoint at one point.
I've just had to accept that, and this just proves. Okay, this is just another proof to myself. The reason we are in the mess we are in is because of people and their behaviours.
I know.
So I know that there'll be loads of people that go on, literally, since I have done the couple of digital ID videos trying to really get the point across, and the space on X, hundreds of free subscribers to my Substack that, you know, want to be on there because they want to be saved by somebody else. I'm not moaning about it. I'm not complaining about you guys doing that. I'm just trying to point out that, you know, if somebody, if you are getting value from somebody, if you feel like you're getting help from somebody, I'm not saying you've got to pay them every month to do it, but wouldn't you buy somebody a pint? This is the way that I look at it in the pub. You know, someone's, I don't know, come round and done something for you. They've done it. It's really helped you out. And you say, do you know what, mate? I'm so grateful. Let me pay you. No. I don't want you to pay me. Okay, let me take you for a pint in the pub. Let me at least buy you a pint to say thanks. And that's all that is. That's all saying thank you is buying a pint is the same as giving someone a donation, because you have got value from what they've done. I don't like the subscription model because I feel like it plays into the system that we've got. That's just where I've got with it.
No, I get that. I get that. Listen. You've given me more than an hour. You said Sunday morning you're only going to give me an hour.
I could rant on for ages about this. So.
I just want to say I love you so much, and you're a good egg. But listen, look, final question of the day. I mean, I think we've covered most things, and I'll put a Substack together and put as much details in it as well. And Actually, like, let me just quickly share one screen. We could talk forever. So yeah, this is a privacy notice for the OneGov thing, and it talks about Experian, like
Told you, they're
they
big
share it with
into
them.
it.
I prove, right?
Oh, can we talk about this, Doc? I know we're going to drag on a little bit, and you're busy too.
No, I'm going to, exactly. So I just want to I want to just take a moment to say, so like, who are these people? So iProve, it's a British technology company, right? It's founded by this guy, Andrew Budd. He's the CEO. The privacy is completely private. Ownership is completely private. It's not on the stock exchange, but a Portuguese tech firm has invested in it. JP Morgan Chase, Octopus Ventures, Ingenious Ventures. You know, like, who the fuck are these people? And they provide the data for US Department of Homeland Security, a lot of several European digital ID programs, and the UK government's OneLogin. So it's this private biometric tech company owned by a mixture of venture capital firms and JP Morgan. Like, what the fuck? And then you've got Experian, and that's one of the largest credit reporting agencies in the world. It's headquartered in Dublin, and it's on the stock exchange, and it's owned by institutional investors and shareholders. The biggest ones are BlackRock, the Vanguard Group, State Street Global Advisors. I mean, for fuck's sake. And you know,
and let's not even talk about Palantir and all that nonsense
yeah,
about them being against digital ID, because they've installed themselves into the architecture through the NHS, and the same with Oracle and all the rest of it. We know where this all goes back to, but I just want to make the point about iProve. Okay, people need to understand. I don't know if you know this. I can't remember if I mentioned it to you. OneLogin lost its safety certification under this trust framework in May this year because of iProve, right? And it still hasn't got it back. That's a good enough reason for anyone to say that they won't use that system, because you're subjecting yourself to the risk of a data hack, a data breach. It can't even meet its own safety certification. And you know what? They don't care. They are still funneling people to that system without telling them this. You can go and find it. It's widely reported. I'll send you a link to put in your Substack.
please do.
That's why nobody should go through this system. And if they're trying to force you through it, there's a good enough reason there not to do it and to push back. And also with the company's house staff, one of the people that watched the video, they've already done a letter to Company's House. She didn't know about the loss of the safety certificate, and she said that would have been really useful to know. There's a big long comment underneath my last video about it, I think, and it's like a template letter. There you go. So it's crap, the whole thing, and they don't care. They don't care. It's not about your safety. This proves it's got nothing to do with preventing fraud and your safety. It's all about control, and they will expose you to those risks because they don't care. Okay, if they get what they want. This is what Fiona Rose Diamond's campaign is about. massnoncompliance.com, her website. Please, everyone, go on it. Read the stuff that she has put together that explains who is behind this, the architecture for it, how long it's been going on for, where it's going to lead people. Wrap your head around the fact it isn't brick card that's coming in the card or whatever. Go on to her 100 things that you can do now that to start removing your permissions from this system. And ultimately, our battle is to ensure that there is an alternative train track running alongside this for people that do not want to be captured into this net. That's right, what our battle is.
Yeah. Have you got her details? I'd like to get her on the...
You need to get her on, mate.
Yeah, can you do me a favour and do an introduction, please?
Yeah, I'm sure she'd love to come on. She speaks very well, a lot better than I do. I'm just a ranty, loud-mouthed, really angry person now because I'm fed up with everybody going along with things.
That's you and me both then. All right, listen, final question of the day. You're on your deathbed surrounded by your loved ones. Before you meet your maker, what words of wisdom or anything are you going to tell them?
I did not comply and I died trying.
Amazing.
That's what I'm going to tell them. And you need to do that as well. You know, that's what I'd be saying to my family. And, you know, a longer answer to that is all of these ridiculous things that we think are so important, big cars, big houses, they're meaningless. There is nothing else that is more important than your freedom and living by the correct moral standards, because that will get you your freedom. So don't be scared, feel the fear, do it anyway. The more of us that don't do it, this will derail this system, and there will have to be an alternative. Okay, it's not going to ever derail it fully, but there will always have to be an alternative, and we must get enshrined that no business, no corporation, no government service can lock you out of anything if you don't go through their biometric system. Gotta be paper, gotta be. And any politician that says that they stand against this has got to be saying that, and none of them are.
Bingo. All right. Thank you, sister, so much.
Thank you for having me, and I'm so sorry. 1 hour of 20 minutes of me moaning.
It's not mourning. You're amazing. You really are. I, Ahmed Malik, am a private civilian protected by the Geneva Convention. My Substack, social media posts and podcasts are my personal experiences, observations and opinions. This information is for educational purposes only. Although I am a doctor, I am not your doctor, and I am not providing medical or legal advice to you or to the wider public. I am not licensed or registered with the GMC or any other licensing board. The responsibility for the interpretation, due diligence and use of the information from my Substack and my podcast lies with you, the viewer and or listener. Please do your research and use your discernment. It is not my intention to harass, intimidate, offend, defame, conspire, blackmail, coerce, or cause anxiety, alarm or distress to any man or woman, and the information presented here is done so with peaceful and honourable intentions. Enjoy, folks.